this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if you'd please stand, Commissioner Nicholson will lead us in our invocation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Join with me in prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for another beautiful day that you bless us with, Lord. Lord, just thank you for all those in attendance today and those who's watching. Lord, just pray that we just do everything that's pleasing you. We ask you to lead, guide, and direct us. And Lord, we remember those that's going on in the East, Lord, and just keep them in the prayers and the war that's going on. Lord, we just ask that you be in all in that, Lord. And we just ask forgiveness for failure. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to make a comment, please.
All right.
To everyone that's here today, I certainly am very familiar with this situation. As principal of Sandy Ridge Elementary School from January of '99 to July of 2002. And I made many trips down to Rockingham County from Sandy Ridge Elementary School when we had tri-county meetings of elementary principals. Been down that road, been by the road, been on that road, probably more times than anybody here except for the Hickman family and the people that live there. And I felt like they came in and gave a very good presentation of why they want that road to remain open. However, I have not, and I always made a commitment when I took this job 6 years ago that I wanted to have all the information in front of me so I could have due diligence as I made decisions. I didn't get that information from the other group. So I, at this time, would like to make a motion on the agenda to table under action agenda, table the abandonment resolution request for Victory Hill Church Road until I feel like the entire board gets all the information they need to make a very good decision. So my motion is to approve the agenda with the amendment of tabling item B under action, which is abandonment resolution. Okay. And that is it.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on that motion on the agenda?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to see that petition that was referenced, and I've asked for it and haven't received it, so
okay.
I'm inclined to agree with.
All right, so we'll be striking item B off of action, which is the abandonment resolution, and we'll table that for a later date. So I have a motion to approve the agenda with that deletion. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Approval of the agenda. The next item is public comments, and the first person signed up to speak is Wayne. Amos, if you would come, you have 4 minutes, and just state your name and address, please.
I am here to speak.
Put you over our microphone so those online can hear you as well.
Kids say I got a big mouth. Yeah. But I was here to speak on the Victory Hill Road, and since it's tabled, this won't be necessary at this time, I don't think, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So if I find out when it is, I'll be back.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today. Sorry about that.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next person signed up to speak is Bobby Hickman.
Thank y'all for listening, and I don't think that road should be closed no way and no how. That road is over 200 years old. Far as we can see, I don't know how old it is. And my grandpa, grandma, distant cousin, everybody been on that road. I've been on it 5 times last week. I done been on it this week, going out into 770, and a shortcut come up and go down. So ain't no way that'll be a hurt on all of us if that's closed, because it's a circle road, and people walk it, people ride bicycles, motorcycles, and everything around the road. And one guy, he walks it every day, and he picks up cans and all. And one other guy is veterans, and he is shell shocked. He goes around that road at least 3 times a day, and sometimes he's up at 12 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock. He can't sleep, so that's what he does. He don't bother nobody. He just goes around the road and trying to rest. So he deserves something other like that anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Anna Belisky.
Hey there, if it's being tabled, I will push mine out to when it's discussed, and you guys will have all the documentations that you need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Now I will move to the comments from the commissioners and the manager, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to welcome everybody out to our meeting today. We appreciate you attending and participating in our local government, and always appreciate your advice on any issues that we're working on. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right. Commissioner Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see everybody here. Beautiful day to be here at 2 o'clock, and I appreciate you spending your time here instead of being outside and keeping what's going on. As I said in the prayer, let's please keep neighbors overseas in our prayers, and hope that this matter resolves quickly and no more lives are taken. And besides that, that's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner.
Mended.
Just had a Commissioner Ronnie, but that wasn't very.
This is my 6th year, but it's been nice knowing you.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that introduction.
Yeah, it's
No, I just want to say to everybody,
calm down for a minute.
thank you for being here today. I say it every time. I appreciate the people that comes out to our meetings and participates in our governmental process. And to everyone watching us on live stream, I appreciate y'all taking your time out of your day. And by the next meeting, I promise you, our chairman will know my last name.
You could just turn your name facing me a little bit more. That would help.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Okay, Vice Chair Barney Castle.
Again, to reiterate what some of the commissioners said, it's great to see everybody. It's a beautiful day the Lord's blessed us with. And as Commissioner Nicholson said, the people over in the Ukraine and foreign countries, we say a prayer, we need to remember these folks. We've been blessed here in this country, and I always pray and think about our military people. I hope things get better, I really do, but great to see everyone.
And I'll just echo what my fellow commissioners have said. It's great to see everybody here, and great to see everybody that what we know is online that couldn't be here, and everybody that came out on a beautiful day just to spend a little time with the governmental process. So thanks for being here. Shannon Shaver.
You got my name, good.
I got your name.
Welcome to everybody here. As always, if there's anything that Amber and I can do to help you out in the community, or you need anything from us or the commissioners, feel free to reach out. I do want to mention something I forgot to mention at the last meeting, and I thought about it, just to take a minute to ask that everyone to be in prayer for the family of Ann Vance. I know a lot of you knew Ann really well. Ann was a longtime employee at DSS, and she passed away on February the 7th. And she's left quite a void at DSS. They're really missing her there. And so just to keep her in your prayers and her family in your prayers. She was a larger-than-life personality, if you ever met Ann. So just keep the Vance family in your prayers, if you will.
And could you also remind people about the survey, the internet
Oh,
survey?
yeah, so we sent out, I think everybody got too many calls, but we asked the school system to send out a call for us and on social media, and we also sent some calls out asking you to take a broadband survey. If you've not gotten a call yet or gotten that info, reach out to our office and we can get you the link to that. It's really important to complete the survey. We're looking at expanding the broadband in the county, and that survey will help us to identify the unserved and underserved areas. The current map that's been submitted to the state is just completely incorrect. It's got a lot of areas that show covered that are not covered, and if you take that survey from home, it'll test your speeds, show you what your current coverage is if you have any, and that submits the correct data to the state. So just take time to take that. So it takes about 5 minutes. And if you need help getting that survey, just let us know. So, good idea, thanks.
All right, thank you. Before we move on, I'll read our conflicts of interest statement. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda for today, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to consent. Have the minutes and the budget amendments. Is there any questions about the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, our discussion agenda, and the first item is our tax office agenda. Richard Brim.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
I'd like to, before I start, this may be the last minute, maybe one more when Julia's here, but Julia, is getting ready to retire. I'd like to thank Julia for all the years she's given to the county, and I'd like to thank Julia for always helping me and always being there. I've been doing this job for almost 4 years now, and she's always been there to help me, and look forward to working with Lisa, and glad to see you back. All right, as always, our first item is our monthly tax collections report. We've collected almost $24.2 million, or a little over 98%. We're on track to meet budget. Last year at this time, we were 98%, so we're all on track to meet budget, so that's looking good. Next item is we have real and personal releases less than 100. We have 4 accounts that total $179.75. Then we have real and personal refunds more than 100. We have 6 accounts that total $986.12. And then we have 1 late application for forestry present use value. And then the next item is going to be our advertisements of our 2021 tax liens for real property. And then the final item I have is just an update on our county-owned surplus property. I'd like to give commissioners an update on that. We had 15 surplus properties, county-owned surplus properties that we obtained when nobody placed a bid on at our tax foreclosure sale. And of those 15 properties, I'm proud to report that collective effort between the board, Glenda Pruitt, our purchasing agent, and the tax office, we have sold 11 of those 15 properties. The remaining 4 properties, one there is a current bid on right now. There's one that is a small piece of property that's only good to the adjoining property owners that maybe one of those folks will buy it. And then we have one that we don't have a bid on. And then the final one that I have here is a piece of property that is a 1/1600ths of an acre that is adjacent to a town-owned park in Wanacove across from London Elementary. Talked to the School of Government and talked to Nick Overby, Assistant County Attorney, and they said that the board can have a deed draft and gift that to the town if the town deems to hold the property indefinitely for public use. I've talked to Shannon Shaver, County Manager. She's in agreement with this. Talked to Kim Greenwood, the Town Manager of Wanacove. He's in agreement with this. And the School of Government says the $5,351.98 of taxes that's owed on it, we can write that off as insolvent in the annual settlement. Nick done a little research on it, said we can do this. He said the only thing we need to do when he prepares the deed, or Ty prepares the deed, would put a reversionary clause in. If the town, for whatever reason, decided to get rid of that piece of property, it would revert back to the county. So just asking the board to, if they'll approve this, then at the next meeting, put it to action and approve that, then we'll have county attorney draft the deed.
All right.
That's all I have.
All right. We'll start down here with Commissioner Morris. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't, Madam Chair.
All right.
I'm good to go with doing the land thing, but
Okay. Any other board members have questions?
thank you, Rich.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Thank you.
You need your-
Oh, yeah, I need this for,
Surplus thing on action, right?
it can next time. Yeah, yeah. Or they can do it today, whatever the board
No,
chooses.
what I mean is like,
Oh.
your other stuff normally goes into consent, you
Yeah.
have to divide it, put what stuff on consent and what stuff on
Gotcha.
action.
So yes, I'm requesting the surplus go to action for next board meeting, and the real and personal refunds more than 100, and the present use value late application, and the advertisement of the 2021 tax liens go on the consent agenda for the March 14th meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right. Our next item, item B on discussion, revisions to the policy for fire commission and use of service district funds, which is Fire Marshal Scott Aaron, who stepped around the corner. There he is. He's back. You're up.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Afternoon.
And like Richard said, Julia, thank you for all of your hard work with what you've done for the fire marshal's office and the volunteer fire departments of this county. Excuse me. What we're bringing to you today is the change of the 9-page document is what it's called. It's the agreement between the county commissioners and the fire commissioners on how they distribute the service district tax funds. There was some verbiage in there that didn't coincide with how things go now a little bit. And I don't know, on mine, I think y'all have a copy of it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go through each line and discuss it, or?
I read it. I don't need you to.
Yeah, I mean, you could just highlight the changes, I think would be good.
In line 3, if they do emergency request, if a fire department has an emergency request and they came to the fire commissioners requesting funding for that, the way the document read, it said that it had to go back to the association for them to vote on it before it could come to you guys for a vote. They wanted to change that, and the fire departments all voted and agreed to any of these changes, so it went before the association, and the chiefs reviewed it, and they've all agreed with it. The other item was, let me find it here, that in the past, if a fire department came to the fire commissioners, they had to give them an answer right then. The fire commissioners felt that kind of tied their hands with, you only have so much money, and if you have more requests than you have money, it becomes first come, first serve. So they requested that it be changed to give them time to table it, review it, do their homework, and then come back and give a vote on whether they wanted to fund a request. And then the item 11 is there's no chief's council in Stokes County. It's only the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association. So it just changed that verbiage to take out chief's council.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions about any of these changes?
I don't. I think they pretty much make common sense, make it a little bit easier on really both ends, both parties, and get things moving faster. I see no problem with it at all.
You're the resident expert.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it should have been like that to begin with. The fire commissioners should have had that authority to do that with that money, because 2 or 3 of those people are appointed by this board, so,
Right.
you shouldn't have to go through all this red tape just to try to get something done.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Action for next meeting.
Yeah, we'll have that on action at the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay. The next item is the tethering of animals, and I think Candace Loy of the Animal Control Advisory Board wanted to present a video to us.
Thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you today. I do have a little bit of over 4-minute video I'd like for everyone to watch before we proceed.
Okay.
This is the property that the seizure took place last August.
scene here in Stokes County, North Carolina. It's a pretty horrific scene. These animals are suffering from extreme neglect and cruelty.
We're responding to a request for assistance from the county sheriff here about a property that has been an ongoing problem in this community. It's a combination of breeding and hoarding to try and create some type of new breed. We've got a lot of dogs on this property. They are spread out over a wide area.
Dogs outside on chains, most of them in horrible, battered conditions like this poor dog here. Been chained outside with no shelter, exposed to the elements, extreme heat. There's flash flood warnings for this evening. And these dogs and other animals out there have no shelter at all.
So almost all of the dogs on this property are chained. Most of them are on stakes in the ground. There's very little human interaction. It's not acceptable.
Everybody here is underweight. If they have water at all, it's just a green old bucket that catches rain when it rains. It is the worst matting I've ever seen on the water stone, covering their whole body. It is really pathetic. Just crawling with fleas. And a lot of them hardly have any fur left on them at all. They've just got such mange. The exposure, it's just, it's really cool. Doing something like this, that is this big, on this scale, it takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of resources. Look what we can do.
We could not be here without our partners and friends at the Missile Pet Foundation. Their critical financial support has made this operation possible, and we are very grateful.
Our mission is to really forge human-animal bonds, and collaborating with organizations like Animal Rescue Corps allows us to do that. We are so very grateful to be able to collaborate and really make an impact here in North Carolina.
Situations like this aren't unusual in rural communities. These communities have no resources to address this type of stuff. They barely have enough resources for the people in their community, and the animals kind of get pushed to the side. So that's where our resources are so valued to these departments, to the police department, the sheriff department, and animal control in these rural areas, because they simply don't have the resources to address these things. So we're that resource. We're that free resource. And that's what makes us unique. And supporting that, that is how you do it.
So the animals today, once we get them back to our emergency shelter in Tennessee, is going to be life-changing for them. They'll be living inside, getting all the medical care that they need, investments in nutrition, hydration. They'll learn about people and that the proper people will feed them every day and take care of them. So I can't wait to get them back.
Operations like this may not be happening in your backyard, but that doesn't mean you can't be a part of it. You can donate, you can share our story, you can educate people about how buying dogs online is supporting places just like this. So get the word out.
Okay. So that's pretty much why I'm here today, to talk to you about moving forward with a some changes in tethering in this county. That's a extreme situation, but I've actually been on hoarding cases in this county myself and removed 20 and 30 dogs off of chains. This overwhelms our Stokes County Animal Shelter and Animal Welfare Departments. Majority of the cases that they get are from chained dogs and chained animals. And I'm not going to read to you the information that I've already sent to you, but I do want to add to it that the CDC says tethered dogs are 3 times more likely to bite, and if the victim is less than 12 years old, they are 5 times more likely to bite. In Forsyth County, 80% of all cruelty and neglect calls are chained dogs. We don't have the statistics here, because when they bite, they're just listed as a bite. We don't know whether they're stray biting or on chains. The USDA also, continuous confinement by a tether is inhumane. And we're talking about tethering 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And we're talking about adding in an assisted tethering. You're out there with it. Manned tethering. That's what we're asking for. Does anybody have any questions or for any of the information that I sent you? I know our board has looked at, we've wanted a tethering ban for a long time. We've not been able to get there. So the ordinances were put in place last April is the first step towards getting there. You normally need to give owners time to adjust to how they're tethering, and then you ask for the tethering ban.
All right.
Go
ahead.
Thanks, Candace, appreciate it. I have 2 or 3 or 4 questions here. First one, should we be gathering that data that Forsyth has, or?
That was just something when talking with them, in conversation with them, talking to other counties, because we don't have any specifics on bite. They're not really segregated out, whether they're on a chain or whether they're stray and biting.
Like
we get reports, there's just bite reports.
Okay. I mean, my question is, should we be recording more than what we are, though, so we'll have that
Absolutely.
information? Okay.
Absolutely.
And it's like 80% of the cruelty cases you said in Forsyth, or
they were chained animals.
Or chained animals. Or tether type animals.
The part that we would need to add into the current ordinance that we have is that any activity where a tethered dog is in visual sight of its owner, or the owner keeps it located, the owner is outside located with the animal. So if you're out working out in the yard, yeah, you can tie your dog out while you're out there with it. This is mainly addressed to 24/365 tethering. And there are, whether we can see them or not, they're there. You may not always be able to see them from the road.
Oh, yeah.
But they're in this county. And there's probably even situations that are as bad as that we just don't know about.
So are you proposing to give us some language to take this to the next step?
Yes.
The council, the Animal Advisory Council do that?
And it's pretty much from the one that we already have now that I included that in your packet, just going in there and adding just what I mentioned there.
Okay. Well, I think what you mentioned about being attended
That you're
tethering,
outside with it, yeah.
I think that would need to be expanded on a little bit, like if I tie my dog outside for 10 minutes and I'm in the house 50 feet away, is that unattended or attended?
Well, one says an activity where a tethered dog is in visual range of its owner or keeper, and the owner or keeper is located outside with the dog.
Like whatever we end up with, it just needs to be real specific and enforceable,
Yes.
and it's got to take into account the person as well as the animal, to make sure, I guess, that we don't have unintended consequences from going to, like if you went to 0 tethering, period.
Well, you and I talked about doing a
Yeah.
partial. You can't, there's
Yeah.
so many partials that they're just not enforceable. There's no need in having it if we can't enforce it.
Yeah.
And, we're in the process of looking at building a new shelter. We don't want to overwhelm a new shelter, just continuous seizure cases. And that's, this last year, the shelter's been full of seizure cases. And
Okay.
most of those have been chained animals.
Do you have a preferred set of language that you would have based on, say, what other counties are doing that you could give us?
We have a combination of some things that we want, that we can come up with.
Okay.
And I guess today was just to find out if you're interested in moving on to the next step to do this, to become a more humane county. And just because we're rural doesn't mean that we have to be an inhumane county to animals.
I would be interested in taking a look at the next step,
Okay.
definitely. Also, one of the things we had in the past that, and this is a little bit separate from this specific issue, but we had animal cruelty investigators assigned that were working with, I guess they weren't running with the sheriff's department, but they were independent though, and they had badges and everything. So do we need to do something like that?
Absolutely.
Reinstate something like that, or?
Absolutely. Every county, I know that for a long time we had one and she was a volunteer. She wasn't paid. And then we did have one that contracted out of the sheriff's department, but she's no longer doing that. Absolutely, because this is a prime example. This is something that should have been stopped 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it probably wouldn't have been as bad as it was.
Yeah, one thing with that specific case that was in the video, that along with the dog and issues and the other animals, there's also the mental health issue of the people that were doing it, or the person that was doing it.
Well, one thing is, this becomes a health issue because I do spay neuter every day. I can tell you that 99% of the people I deal with do not have current rabies vaccinations for their animals. So, and most of these animals that are chained do not have them. If they bite somebody, that's a health issue. So it's.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of different problems there.
Well, I think it might be a good thing to look at is reinstating that animal cruelty investigator. Maybe if we get volunteer, I don't know if we could still have somebody volunteer to do that, but empower them to do the job and go out and help us prevent things like we just saw in that video. But,
We can definitely come up with the language and we can get it to Shannon
You meet
and
again
Ty
March
look at.
8th. Is that March 8th, your next Animal Control Advisory Board meeting?
Yes. We can do that before, because it's not going to be changing a lot. That's where it's already here. We can do that and get that approved and get that to you.
You had that on the 8th, and we can put it back on the 14th meeting here,
Okay.
maybe?
that'd be good. Last thing I'll say is I can verify what you say about the behavior, because I rescued a dog and I still have her, as sweet as she can be, but she had an embedded chain in her neck that we had to remove surgically. And I have to watch her carefully around other people. Her behavior patterns are different than dogs that have not been through that situation. So,
Well, I took one from the shelter one time for another group, and I was the only one that could touch that dog. And ultimately, he became so aggressive, he had to be euthanized.
yeah.
So I've seen it firsthand, what that does to animals.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right.
Thank you for coming and bringing that to us today. What part of Stokes County was that in? What part of Stokes County was that in? What town?
Danbury.
Church Road? Okay, all right, I was wondering. I'm seeing right on this item B right there at the end, the line connecting to the animal to the trolley system must have a swivel at each end. No more than one animal may be tethered to the restraint device at one time. So basically, you're trying to put it that they can't have like the line running from tree to tree as long as it's got a swivel in the end. Like if somebody's at work during the day, allowed to let that animal run, and when they get back home, take it off that, or how strict are y'all looking to take this?
Well, it's basically addressing tethering 24/7.
Okay.
Never getting
That's the main
off.
thing, right?
Never getting off there.
But would a citizen, if we decide to go further with this, if a citizen, like I said, had their dog on the line during the day while they're at work, and when they come home, take them off,
Well, they'd have to be there with it.
they're with it? Okay.
Visual. Yeah.
I think you're talking about two separate things. He's talking about that thing that has a pulley on it.
Right, to each end,
During
yeah.
the day when they're at work, like that.
Is that considered tethering?
Yes.
When they have the thing that runs back and forth?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's, and although I do agree, what we see on that video, and I know it goes on in this county, I've seen it in other areas too, it's awful. No animal should have to go through it. Yeah, I'm interested in finding out more on this and digging deeper into it. That's all I have, Madam Chairman. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to say, I want to thank Candace for coming over. Don't have to go too far to see you, do I? Since we're neighbors. Of course, I've had so many dogs. And I do have a special place in my heart for one. A little old teacup poodle sitting in the house with Lindy right now. That video, certainly, it doesn't touch you in some way, you know. I just feel like, I don't know what to say, but I'm interested in furthering our investigation. You know, I don't want to commit to anything at this time until we get the language.
The language.
It's very important, you know, to the people in Stokes County, of the language that you use for policy. Thank you.
Again, it's great to see. You got a tough job, I have to admit that. Something I'd like to see when we're going through this is like some of our surrounding counties. What is the consequences, you know? Something like this video, you know, how far does the court system take it, stuff like that? I mean, if you never do anything to these people, you know, there's no need to have a policy in place. And I know it's hard to police it, it really is, but I mean, I see it right there in my neighborhood where I live, you know. But that's something I would like to see, you know, once we go through all this, and, you know, you gotta face consequences if you don't do the right thing. You know.
Well, we have citations that are in place that, you know, they get a warning, they get so many hours to adhere to them, to comply, and then they're issued citations. So, and we didn't have that 7 years ago in place. So we've learned that you hit them in the pocketbook if you want to get their attention. So that's what we're doing. And if they don't pay, it goes to debt set-off to collect.
That's good.
But as far as these types of cases here, yes, they do get charged. Now, whether a lot of times they get a slap on the wrist. And when you go in and do a full-scale clean-out like that, you have to remove everything on the property. You have to remove the houses, the chains, whatever they're tethered to, or else they'll turn around and do it again. And that's what we're dealing with now with some cases. You take them, nothing's done to them, they're turning around doing the same thing again. So we've got repeat offenders.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 'cause I talk to people out in the county and, you know, stuff, and that's one thing that people bring to my attention. They say, well, they're going to do it again because they're not going to do anything with them. You know, they repeat. They've done it before, you know, that kind of stuff. So,
Well, that's where a cruelty investigator comes in, because they stay with the case. And the one that I know sticks to it and attends the court and pushes for the maximum. So that's another good reason to have a cruelty investigator. They can make sure that they just don't get a slap on the wrist.
Thanks for bringing the video, and it was, you know, it's hard to watch. It's very sad, and I agree that it's a shame 3 years ago something wasn't done that maybe could have prevented some of that. And again, it's like Commissioner Morris mentioned about the mental health piece, and we have somebody from VIA here today. You know, as we know, this fella had some serious mental health issues and went on to take his own life. If the people here don't know about that, just days after that happened. But you know, so that being said, I feel like a lot of times there could be a correlation of mental health issues and some of what we're seeing with this cruelty thing. But you know, like you said, we are looking at our animal shelter and what needs to be done there, and possibly with this budget cycle, putting in there to rebuild a new animal shelter. And when we do have more space, I think it will be easier to enforce and to house these animals that are taken. And we'll have that piece hopefully in better shape, because it's all like a puzzle, and, you know, you got to have the enforcement, you got to have things that can be enforced, and the people who are willing to go do the enforcement like it needs to be done and stick with it, like you say, and that might mean the addition of some type of animal cruelty investigator position as well.
We don't want to overflow our new shelter with
Right,
things such as this.
exactly.
And overburden the one that we already have, because that's what's been happening for
Exactly.
years.
Exactly. Well, I think this board seems to be wanting to move forward with doing more about this. So hopefully, bring us back some other language and give us something else to look at, to something that we could put in place. I think we're definitely willing to look at furthering what we've got.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the discussion is the Life Right Community Hospital wall repair, and that would be our Public Works Director, Stuart Easter.
Good to see everybody.
I'm here.
Have y'all had a chance to look over? Okay, so you see the cost and kind of what's going on. I think it was looked at 4 years ago, 2018, and it's got worse. This price here is to stop it from going any further, and that's all it involves. So I kind of want to see what the board wants to do. If they want to proceed to do this and stop it, there's some other work that's probably going to have to take place up there, and we can get into that a little later after we do this. I think there's a drainage issue in the back courtyard that we probably need to look at. I've talked to a contractor about digging that up and looking about $1,500 a day to do some exploratory digging. So I kind of want to see where y'all were at and what you wanted to do as far as how this is. I think some of the interior repairs we can let the hospital do themselves. There is a little bit of roofing damage right now that's going to need to be looked at. That's not in this price. And there's some separation of a wall that's probably going to need to be looked at too on the outside. But we can get into that a little bit later.
The way you described it, you have to do this first to
Yeah.
establish how bad the other is.
Yeah, this is going to have to be done first. This is going to keep the wall from falling. And we need, North County probably needs to go ahead and proceed with this, because I don't want the wall to fall.
We looked at it a few years ago when Mark Dillahunt was still here, and it was about $15,000 then. And at that point, we weren't real sure what was going to happen with the hospital or what kind of repairs were going to be made. Still kind of in that same boat, I think, but at this point, it's so bad that the wall's going to go if we don't make a move on fixing it.
Yeah.
Stuart, was this put out for bid, or was this the only company that?
It was put out for bid in 18. I reached out to this same guy, or the same contractor company that bid it in 18, because he was already familiar with it. I didn't have it rebid this time, just because I was basically wanting to get some information together just to see where we were at on how much things had went up material wise and all that, just to see where we're at. I can have this rebid if we need to, but I feel like this is kind of close to where it's going to be to get it fixed.
I'd kind of like to see, I know it's probably something that needs to be taken care of right away, I imagine. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
far is the Granco out before they can jump on repairs as soon as they're told?
He's within probably 3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks.
That's what he told me.
All right.
He did say with the cost varying. This could be a little bit more, or it
Okay.
could be. That's kind of the reason I reached out to them.
Is there any way to put an actual bid package together on this, describing everything that needs to be done, so it is covering that one price and no supplementals are gonna be done?
I've got some other pricing from Granco
Yeah.
on the, adding the roof repairs and the wall repair. $11,950 more for the roof and wall repair. That's if you wanted to include that. My concern was to get the wall shored up first, and then we could kind of regroup and go down the road with the rest of it. I know the roof has to be fixed.
Right.
It's gonna have to be fixed as well, but
How many bidders did you have last time? Do you remember?
from what I was told, there was, they reached out to 3 different contractors. This one and one other answered, and then the other one didn't. It was 3 total.
Okay. I'd kind of like to see it go out for bid, just for the fact that it is going to be taxpayers' money being put out there, but I understand the urgency of it too. How quickly could we get a process like that going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay,
We can do that.
all right. That's all I have, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Was Granco the low bidder last time?
They were,
Okay. They do really good work. They have on the other things they've done for the county, so. Is ties a requirement to bid it out?
It's under the minimum right now, but if you add those things into it, then you go over 30.
Okay.
If you're gonna bid it out, you may as well bid it out all
Yeah.
inclusive with everything you just listed.
That's what.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, you might as well.
well,
Do it all.
how much do we want to do up there? Do we want to include the interior, or do we want the hospital staff to do that?
Get back to the roof, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
Get back to the roof, wasn't there an insurance claim on file? Has we heard anything else on that, or?
I've not heard nothing, Andy. on that.
Okay.
I'm not. I can ask. I don't mind asking.
I'd kind of like to know the answer to that, to see if we've heard anything else on the insurance claim before we go on that route, and if not, how bad is the roof? I mean, is this something that's going to continue causing problems, or?
Well, where this wall is sagged, it's pulled the rubber lining loose from the side of the wall.
So it's
It's
gonna-
probably gapped that much.
gonna
Probably
continue
5 or
causing,
6
yeah.
inch gap.
Yeah, I mean, we might as, I mean, the way I'm looking at it, might as well just go ahead and get it all fixed, because if not, we're just gonna throw $30,000 out there, and then it ain't gonna do a hill of beans here in about 6 or 7 months, so.
I can get that included. What about the interior? The interior,
First quote you got on that was,
it's expensive. And you could get into mold.
And-
There's a big issue when you go inside.
Go ahead and shoot the dagger, how bad?
So, all of it together, you're looking at about 65,000. That's if you get into the interior. I just kind of want to see where everybody wants to go with it.
Stuart was just trying to attack the worst problem first, fix that, see what the rest was gonna cost, and do the immediate repair, but you can bid the whole entire process out.
Is this part of the nursing home part, or is this the emergency room part? What part you talking
This
about
is
with the
the
interior?
hall, this is where the cafeteria there at the hallway starts up the main hall. When you come in the front entrance and you go like you're gonna go into the cafeteria, the hall to the back, is where it's at respiratory, right there.
Is there any way we can get some bid packages put together with additive A, additive B, you know, the
I'd
main?
probably get them to break it out,
Okay,
yeah, if that's what you want to do.
I think
Do
that'd be
that.
the best thing to do right now, to see what we're looking at.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just one comment. I mean, the hospital, we've already been told it has a 2.5 to 3 or 4 year shelf life remaining.
Right.
So, one analysis we need to put on this, I guess, is given that it's going to be replaced or something by 3 or 4 years from now, what do we have to do to get it to there? And I guess that's the way I would try to analyze it once you get all that other information together.
That's sort of why you're seeing this the way it is now. We're kind of like, do you want to see that big of a number in front of you on something that you might not potentially be using in a couple of years? And there's a different space, a new space. So how much do you spend? How far do you go? That's where we're at with trying to figure that out.
Okay.
I can get it there a lot cheaper, I think. I think I can get the wall fixed get it shored up to where it will not go any further, and get the roof and that wall repaired, and do that part and get out. I would let them, in my opinion, I would let them do the interior. That's where the money's gonna really get in. And then again, you may get into mold. There's a big issue that you could get into when you get in the inside.
You don't even have to use.
Like you say, it just kind of depends on what the county wants to spend. You can stop it and do the bare minimum and get out, and then let them do the rest if it's not going to be there. But we can spend, $60,000, $70,000.
Well, it sounds like that you want you to get it bid and break it out if they can and concentrate on that wall and the roof. And if you want to get it split up so we know the interior price, that's fine. But I guess if you can have that as soon as possible, that'd be great.
I'll work on it.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. And now that takes us to the action agenda, and item A is the Board of Adjustment reappointments. At the last meeting, the board nominated Amos Elvis, Dennis Robinson, John Turpin, Marvin Cavanaugh, and Stephen Jessup to the Board of Adjustments. Are there any further nominations? I need a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
All right. And I will, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll poll the board, and I guess just the slate of,
Slate's
okay.
good with me.
All right,
Slate.
okay.
Slate.
All right. All right, we got the whole slate, and they're approved. Agreed, okay. Item C is the Stokes Adult Care Community Advisory Committee appointment. Last meeting, the board nominated Scotty Hooker to the Stokes Adult Care Committee. Are there any further nominations?
Make a motion to close nominations.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll poll the board. Hooker?
Hooker.
All right, Hooker. All right, and the item D is the Deputy Finance Director appointments. Do we just need to, all right.
I am requesting that Glenda Pruitt and Tracy Aaron be appointed as Deputy Finance Director. This is per general statute for anyone to sign off on the Budget and Fiscal Control Act. I found this out at a conference I was at, that they should be appointed, anybody that's signing off on that Fiscal Control Act.
Okay.
And the Pruitt, and who was the other one?
Tracy Aaron.
All right. Need a motion?
Do you need a motion to close nominations, or do we just need a motion to approve the two?
Just to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the two names just listed, Aaron and Pruitt.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. If you will read the rationale for going into closed session, Ms. Amber.
To consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3.
All right. I need a motion to go into.
Motion to go into closed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll do a 5-minute recess.